So, uncomfortable times at Barcelona. And here to give us the inside track on it all, delighted to say once again, it's a very good morning to our Spanish football expert, Terry Gibson. Terry, lovely to see you as always. Let's start with that prepared statement the other day, shall we? There was that bit that was being sent off last night. What signs are we seeing here? Is all not well with Ronald Koeman and Barcelona?
Yes, you certainly wouldn't call them Barcelona United at the moment. Joan Laporta and Ronald Koeman do have issues. And Ronald Koeman's a smart guy, and he knows full well that Barcelona are actively searching for his replacement, and that's the only reason he's manager of the club at the moment. They're looking around for the right person. They're looking around for the right person that wants to accept the job. And Ronald Koeman knows that. So when he did his press conference the other day, Laporta and the club didn't even know he was going to do it. The press department, the media department obviously did and helped him. But it was news to Laporta that Koeman was going out of his way to make a quite a lengthy statement, asking for support instead of having to ask questions or answer questions all the time. And to be honest, I feel for Koeman in this situation. When he took the job, you look at the players that have departed this summer: Griezmann, Messi, Pjanic, Trincao. You look at the players that left the club last summer: Luis Suarez, Rakitic, Vidal, Artur Melo. And if you said to any manager, in the replacement, we're going to give you Memphis Depay, Luke de Jong, and hope that you can make a team out of that. And that's Eric Garcia, Sergio Aguero at 33. That's been the cost of what's happened to Barcelona in the last couple of seasons, which came to a head this summer, of course. So I feel for Koeman. On top of that, he's got a lengthy injury list where Aguero hasn't played yet. Braithwaite is now injured. Dembele hasn't played this season. Pedri and Alba have joined the list of injured players. So he's left with players that probably weren't the usual Barcelona standard, or the shining light for Barcelona, young teenage players that are coming in and playing really well. But it's not the ideal time to be blooding youngsters. And therefore, Koeman is not getting results. He's not under pressure because he knows he's going to get the sack. And it's going to happen as soon as they can find the right person to replace him.
OK, so there's two strands to this, isn't it? Because we hear stories from Spain that making the decision to replace him mid-season could be very costly for Barcelona. Explain what that contract situation is.
Well, the situation now is that they can afford to sack him. That's not the problem. When they've just lost the wages of Messi and Griezmann and Pjanic, sacking Koeman isn't a financial issue that concerns the club. But it's the problem is, I mean, in the past, Rob, I'm sure you'd agree that if anyone was offered the Barcelona job, it's one they would seriously consider taking. It was coveted, to be honest. Now that's not the case. As I said, with the players that have departed the club, the lack of finances to bring in new players, and the fact the club are going to have to rely on 17, 18-year-olds to pull them through this sticky situation, it won't appeal, I'm pretty sure, to the likes of Antonio Conte, for instance, who will have his pick of jobs. They'll look at that and think, well, what do you expect me to do? 3 years in terms of transition by, bringing young players through and hoping that the likes of Piqué and Busquets and Jordi Alba can help them. It's a big ask. So therefore, Barcelona are finding it really difficult to find Koeman's replacement. At the same time, Koeman knows that that's what they're doing. So that's why we have a standoff, which isn't helping the situation. So I think, in my opinion, this is no discredit to Koeman. I just think the sooner it happens, the better. Then the club can start afresh. You've also got to remember, Ronald Koeman was appointed by the previous president. So Laporta knows, he knows to start a complete new page in the future of Barcelona, Ronald Koeman will be leaving the club.
Yeah, OK. So we'll get on to who might come in if they do it in a moment, because, as I said, two strands to this. Let's go back to that prepared statement then he read out in the news conference earlier, refusing to take any questions. First up, how did that go down in the Spanish media?
Again, nothing from Ronald Koeman goes down well in the Spanish media. He is the fall guy. And it's tough on him. But they're looking for any opening they can. And they saw this as someone making excuses. It's been a criticism of Koeman that he's been making non-stop excuses. But there are reasons behind this reason why we're seeing unfamiliar Barcelona lineups. He played against Granada on Monday night. He got criticised because he brought Luke de Jong on at half-time to play up front. They then had 54 crosses. They were losing 1-0. He brought Piqué on as a centre forward. Piqué didn't even pretend and go to centre back. He ran straight into the centre forward position to play alongside Luke de Jong. And they ended up throwing Ronald Araujo, who's another centre half, up front for the last 10 minutes. So he's really being defiant. And so he knows the pressure against him. In fairness, I was in the stadium against Granada. I went to the game. 27,000, which is quite eerie in the new camp, but there is COVID restrictions in terms of attendances in La Liga still. And those 27,000 got behind the team. They didn't criticise Ronald Koeman. They supported their team. So I think that the supporters know the situation that the club are in, but the media, the press in particular, are having a field day at Barcelona's demise, and Ronald Koeman is the butt of all the criticism.
What's more important to Joan Laporta, support of the media or that support in the ground?
The support in the ground was really supportive. And it surprised me, actually. It was reported in the press. There was lots of jeers, lots of whistles aimed at Ronald Koeman. That wasn't true. The jeers and the whistles were aimed at Granada for time wasting, because they went 1-0 up after 1 minute and tried to run out the clock from then on. So that's what the jeers and the whistles for. But if you look at the media, then the stories were that they were getting jeering and whistling the players and Ronald Koeman. That wasn't the case. I was in the stadium, and as I say, the supporters were supportive of the players, of the coach. There was no criticism of the coach. But Joan Laporta knows that, as I said, to start a new page in this situation, he probably feels it's important he has his own choice of manager in. There's talk of Xavi. There's talk of lots of different candidates for the job, but it's convincing picking the right person and convincing them to take on this new project now.
How much of the feeling that Xavi has taken one look, as you were saying, at what's going on there and thinking, well, now's not the right time? Roberto Martinez is another one who's been linked. He's never actually managed in Spain. Would that be a move you could see?
I could see his name is one of the names mentioned. Thierry Henry has been mentioned as well, another former Barcelona player. Pirlo has been mentioned. But there's no one obvious at the club, because what you might possibly have there's not a future Pep Guardiola at the moment lurking and coming through managing the B team. So there's no one that could look at this project and think, well, we're going to have 5 or 6 teenagers. We could do with a coach that's used to, coaching them. That's not the case. There's all new coaches at all different levels of Barcelona since Joan Laporta took over. So that's this season. So there's no obvious candidates from within. Xavi has been talked about, and I kind of think this would appeal to Xavi, because I think Xavi knows the club inside out. These players that I'm talking about, the likes of Balde, Gavi, Nico Gonzalez, Fati, who's a teenager, Pedri, Araujo's 22. I think Xavi will, if he was to take the job, there would be a period of grace for someone like Xavi, where no one's expecting Barcelona to win the league or the Champions League this season. But in a season's time, if he comes in, he's not going to get the same criticism as Ronald Koeman. And I think people will be a little bit more patient. So I kind of think that if Barcelona do go for Xavi, I actually feel this is a challenge that might appeal to him with the young group of players, with the good senior players that are available as well. So I think first and foremost, they do need some of these injured players back to give a better appearance of the team currently. But my opinion, I think Xavi would be the best choice for the club going forward.
Yeah. Well, the conclusion I've drawn, though, Terry, is that it's a bit of a pickle. Really, I think I'm safe in saying that. Terry, thank you so much for joining us. Absolute pleasure as always.